Hello, I'm Mitra Sorrells in the Phocuswire studio at Phocuswright Europe, and I am joined by Mann. He is founder and CEO of Travlr ID, and Heather Dahl. She is co-founder and CEO of Indicio. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
So let's get into this discussion about digital ID and digital wallets, kind of what's happening in the space. Heather, let's start with you. I know, we at Phocuswire have been closely following and covering some of the work you've done with CETA in Aruba as far as entry, border crossing. Bring us up to date on what's happening there.
For travelers who are going to Aruba, they can look forward to a very near future where they can use a digital travel credential. And what I mean by that is having the ability to basically have your passport in your device and gain pre-authorization to cross the border from the government of Aruba before they even leave home for the airport. And at this moment, select passengers are using the system, and I think the vision is very near future, all passengers will have the option to use that system for their travel to Aruba. And we also see a future where more travelers who are going to more places than Aruba will have the ability to begin using their digital travel credential, which is an ICAO specification that other organizations, other countries, other airlines can also use themselves.
That's wonderful. And so would you say, is it functioning the way you would hope and expect? I mean, I'd imagine you're learning as you're going along.
We are learning, but it is functioning beyond what I could have ever imagined. When I first crossed the border using it upon arrival, I couldn't believe how fast it performed, to the point people were telling me, no, go ahead and cross. Yeah. It was lightning fast. It's hard to even describe how quickly the system moves, how easy it is to create a digital travel credential from your home, how easy it is to just share it to the government, and then upon arrival, it actually moves so quickly, it just blows your mind.
Wow. Okay, that's really interesting to hear. We can talk a bit more about the potential use for some of that in a moment. But maybe if you can bring us up to date. I know you founded Travlr ID in 2023, one of our hot 25 travel startups for 2024. What have you been doing?
I think we're riding on the great innovation these folks have been doing, exactly what Heather's talking about. There's been folks like Trust over IP, Decentralized Identity Foundation, folks that have been working on building those standards for that identity exchange. We've been trying to work one step further on that. Identity is verifying who I am. We're in the space of profiles is what are your needs? Now we've verified who you are, but what are your preferences and what are your needs? So we're trying to build on that baseline concepts. That these great, everyone's working on these great concepts. We're trying to take that one step further on what are my preferences and what are the needs of the traveler. So we're trying to build on what does that look like in business travel at the moment with a core focus there.
Focused on business travel.
Business travel, yes. Absolutely.
Okay, interesting. I'd imagine there's some unique challenges in that space as far as maybe privacy or compliance.
Absolutely. So that comes back to the SSI principles and verified credentials. So can you imagine expanding that out to corporates to be able to generate a corporate profile to verify you work for the corporate? What are the travel policies before you then stack the identity and then the preferences and everything else? So there is a multi-stage, multi-tier approach to what do profiles look like in a corporate setting? So it's very exciting to be working on that as a core use case as corporate travel.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious, can both of you help us understand what is the ultimate potential of this? Like, I believe, if I understand correctly, for example, with the Aruba example, the idea is not just to make it about crossing the border, but potentially then to help you expedite getting to your hotel, picking up your rental car. Explain how this could all work as a wider ecosystem.
This is a story of complete ubiquity of seamless travel. That the same digital travel credential that is used to gain pre-authorization to cross the border from home can also be used at check-in, can be used as part of the boarding pass, like accessing a lounge at an airport. Of course, sharing preferences of your travel, being able to check into your hotel and present a form of identity so you don't have to present your passport or driver's license physically upon check-in to reduce the queues, to give hotels more information about their customer with consent and privacy preservation at every step of the way, to be able to use that same credential for car rentals, tour operators, payments, baggage delivery services, that instead of having to present your identity, and when you think about how many times the traveler knows they present their identity and how many times we in the industry know they really present their identity behind the scenes, we're looking to reduce that by 75%. So think about a seamless journey where you're only presenting your identity, where you are, providing the consent only a couple times versus 5 to 20 times in a journey.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah.
And yeah, again, and I can only echo what Heather's saying. It opens up that interoperability challenge, but you're getting past that now, and you also have this trusted, verified data exchange. It opens up so much possibilities. All those touch points. It's a trusted data exchange. Issuing room keys to people's wallets. Notifications and I don't know. It's an example I use. I'm running late in my Uber to get to the Marriott hotel. I'm going to be 6 minutes late. Could a personal AI pop out a message to Marriott in a trusted manner to say, gee, this verified traveler that's got a booking with you is about to arrive. Yeah. Let them know, put the champagne back on ice.
Right.
That trusted data exchange is the instrumental part. That's very, it's very core to the whole premise of what we're both working on. So it's very exciting.
And so are you talking to, let's say, TMCs or those, and that's it. I'm curious, can you share at all what you're hearing back? I mean, is there a willingness to embrace some of this, or is there a fear?
At first, there was a bit of reluctance.
Yeah.
But when you start stripping away and talking about the efficiencies and the value you bring, it starts to open those doors a bit more naturally. So I think there was a little bit of friction to start with, but now the demand for adoption is much higher, especially in the year that we've been working in this space. It's been fascinating to see the speed to which the understanding and the discovery
is happening. Yeah.
Right. This is no longer a technical challenge. This is a change management challenge in the industry. Technology has been proven, it exceeds expectations, and now it's understanding how do we thread this through our user experience, our customer experiences.
Yeah, that's a great way to capture it. And so then that also makes me wonder, okay, so it's not a technological challenge, it's a change management challenge, but it's also change management on the part of the traveler, right? And so how confident are you that the traveler themselves will be willing to use this, to understand it, to embrace it? And how, maybe a bit more on also, like, how do we get that adoption? There's an education piece there, I assume.
If it makes my travel more efficient, I don't have to wait in a line. It speeds especially for vacation or business traveler, if it speeds me so I get more time at the beach, then travelers are going to opt to it. Ultimately, will a traveler know they're using SSI? Probably not, and that's okay. That's exactly where we want them. What we want them to think is, wow, I never expected to blow right through that checkpoint, or I never expected that I wouldn't have to wait in a line, or I never expected I'd be off the plane and sitting on the beach in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the customer and traveler experience that I think ultimately they'll have.
Again, I'm going to have to echo everything Heather's saying. I think it's about hiding that whole technology behind the user experience. The user doesn't have to know. I mean, I think that's the part, the technology has been solved, right? Yeah. It's how do you now make this so efficient that people don't even know they're doing the things they're doing. Yeah. So when we're working in that space, we're making sure that they don't even know that there is what type of technology, don't get freaked out that there's blockchains, don't take them down any road of any biases. It's seamless, quick, efficient. That's what you need to focus on.
Yeah. So the technology is there, but of course there's also, this is such kind of a complex situation in that there's also like the government piece, right? And the border crossing and some of those things. I think my understanding is things are moving fairly quickly here in the EU, or maybe quicker than in some other parts of the world. I'd love to hear your take on kind of that piece of the government piece and the border crossing and any challenges there.
Oh, well, the IDAS wallet you're referring to, yes, there is going to be a mandate for a wallet that's going to become mandatory. That only strengthens the case on the stuff that us guys are working on. The technology and the specs and standards are very well defined. So it's just a matter of adoption. As those change, folks like us will just update the stacks that we have to, if there is a change. But pretty much they're on common standards today. So it becoming mandatory, it's just going to be more government agencies will adopt those standards and we would just integrate them. So it's actually just driving more adoption for what we're, I hate to use the word propaganda for it, but it's driving that change, that change management piece. It's only driving that more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing governments actually drive the adoption and in some ways forcing it with the EU digital wallet. We are seeing, you can debate when the EU digital wallet will be in effect. We can debate that, but we know it will be.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. So if organizations and companies don't have a plan or don't have a roadmap towards decentralized identity and verifiable credentials, they're behind the game at this point. And so this is a matter of every company looking, what is our plan? Because the EU digital wallet will be here. Many countries have said they will follow and also use verifiable credentials and digital wallets. We saw a recent signing between the EU and Japan, for instance, to cooperate on this. So what we're seeing in one way, governments are some ways driving the adoption, in other ways, for those who were early front runners in this technology, they're reinforcing and validating their decisions.
But I'm curious, have you heard, the work with Aruba has been going on for a few years now. I know it started during COVID with some of the health passes and things. Have you had inbound, inquiries or requests from other countries, saying, hey, I see what you're doing there and we want to try to bring that to our space?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say it's not just governments who are looking, because already many governments were working on a variation or a digital travel credential. So they saw actually the DTC work in real life with real passengers successfully, and that gained a lot of interest and continual development. But we also saw parties in the rest of the travel ribbon say, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of that seamless journey. And so I would say it's not just governments, it's airlines, it's hotels, it's tour operators, and it's all the additional services that go in delivering an amazing journey to our customers.
Well, as we're getting ready to wrap up, I would just ask, I'd love to hear from both of you on some of your priorities, let's say, for the next year. So G, maybe tell us, what's really top of your to-do list?
I think it's driving that mass adoption. It's our demand outstrips the size of our team. So I have a different challenge as CEO at Travlr ID at the moment, but I think it's driving that adoption, making sure that we don't deviate from the standardization that all the folks have been doing so hard. It can't be a closed system. It comes with the DNA and a mindset when you're working in this space. It's not something that's proprietary and it's closed. It has to be open. So it's continuing to advocating for why this is important. It's also trying to meet the demand that we have right now, but keep also driving that change, the change management in the business travel side.
Exactly. It is reaching adoption, is helping those organizations and companies who have been leading the path to continue to drive this. So all travelers will have the option to use the DTC and verifiable credentials for other parts of their journey. And then it's on the other side for those who are understanding that this is the future, helping them get onboarded, helping them create their roadmaps and plans and early deployment so they can continue to keep up with the rest of the industry.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a really interesting space. And, I know there's going to be a lot more developments that we'll be following in the coming years. So thank you so much for joining us. G. Mann, Heather Dahl, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.